Charles Rowan, and before we begin exploring the gold mine of astrology, please remember to like and subscribe. This channel would be nothing without your kindness and support, so please feel free to return and explore the growing content, and of course your comments are always of value. So truly, thank you. All right. Now, just before we go, I'm going to ask you a question. Let me first of all get a line here. So let's have a, there you go. You should be able to see a vertical line.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. How much more time? Probably about an hour and 10 minutes, roughly.
Another hour and 10 minutes.
Roughly.
Okay.
Yeah, roughly. Yes. Now, when you look at this line, there's a vertical line, and let's get a horizontal line. What is that?
It's a cross.
It's a cross. Anything else?
4 segments.
Chart.
4 segments, yeah. What was that?
I said chart, but that's not the word I was looking for.
Ah, right. Okay. Yes. Now, all these things that you're saying, they're all interesting, but in actual fact, what it is it's either 2 or 4 lines on a plain background. But when you look at these 2 or 4 lines on a plain background, what your brain is doing is weaving them into a sense of meaning. And that's what astrology is. It's the art of looking at a representation and imbuing it with meaning. Now, is anyone here aware that the cross is older than Christianity? No? You didn't know that? Ah, right. Yes. The cross is far older than Christianity. An early form of cross looked like this. Have you ever seen this before, anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you know what it is? What it's called?
Is it an ankh?
It's an ankh. Yes. It comes from ancient Egypt. In fact, this guy behind me, Anubis, is carrying one in his hand. And you can look at this in a variety of ways. You can look at it as the key of life, because he can hold the loop bit, and this looks like a key, even though they didn't have locks or iron, so they didn't have keys. So that's just a modern idea of what it might be. Another way of looking at this, of course, is that there's a receptacle, and there are 2 things opened to each side and something coming into the receptacle. So you can look at this as a fertility symbol as well. Depends on how you want to configure kind of meaning. Different cultures through time have used this symbol way, way, way before Christianity. For example, in the regions of the world that use Sanskrit as a language, they saw the sun as a spinning disc that would go through the sky. So on their cross, they put spinners to make it look a little bit like a Catherine wheel. Swastika is a Sanskrit word which means light, health, and well-being. And in traditional Hinduism, the swastika is painted red. Hitler took this idea, reversed the symbol, so therefore it was anti-sun, anti-life, and made it black on a red flag. So it was a reversal of the meaning in Sanskrit. In the Celtic realms, you'll find equal arm crosses. And in certain graveyards, you'll find a Christianized version of a Celtic cross, which look like this.
Yeah, seen that in some cemeteries.
That's right. Now, if this symbol of a cross is older than Christianity, the question is, what did it mean in the minds of people before Jesus? Because they couldn't refer to Jesus because he wasn't alive yet. So that's what we're going to explore when we come back from tea. And there's a very, very good astrological reason for doing so. All right. So we're going to go and have a bit of a break now and then come back in 10 minutes. How have you found this first part?
Very insightful.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, enjoying it?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's going to be a replay for sure. Because
love it.
So there's so much to take in, but I mean, absolutely mind-boggling stuff. Yeah.
Excellent. Good. Because Yeah, and this is the first kind of light little foray into things, just to ease you into stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Light little foray, right? Okay, we'll get
Yeah,
off you.
indeed. Yeah, I don't know how to do shallow. I'm just not. I can't do it. I don't know what it is. So yes, right. See you back here in 10 when the music finishes. Okay. Now I mentioned that this cross, if you like, can be thought of as having a vertical line, and of course it can also be thought of having as a horizontal line. We'll explore the vertical first of all. Now, a good way of doing this, just imagine like here's two marker points, right? And there's a space between them going across, from left to right. And here's another two marker points down here, and a space between them going from left to right. And if we just kind of mark this with a little wiggly wave, I do apologize for my wiggly waves. So you'll find through this that some of my sketches and drawings are a little bit basic, right? And that's what happens when you have someone with dyspraxia who's trying to draw with a mouse, right? But you get the gist that it's a wiggly wave. So there's a wiggly wave, and here's another wiggly wave down here. Now, if the space between these two mark points at the top and these two mark points down the bottom was 1 second of time, what's the difference between these two waves?
One's longer, bigger, and the other one's smaller, right?
Yeah, but
The
remember
gap between them.
But the distance between them is 1 second of time. So what's the difference in the waves?
Stretched.
I don't know.
No? The top one travels this distance in 1 second. The bottom one travels this distance in 1 second. What's the difference between these two waves?
One's faster than the other.
That's what I was thinking, but if they're both a second, then...
Yeah, this one travels this distance in 1 second.
Right, yeah,
One
got you.
travels this
Right.
distance
Yeah.
So therefore, it's their speed. Okay, so what's the fastest wave that we know of at our current point in history?
Electricity, light.
Light, indeed. So here's our... Now, does anybody know the slowest that we currently know of?
I don't actually know.
No? Okay, so let's just get a kind of a spectrum here. So here's a sense of spectrum, and there's our kind of realm of light. And of course, light is often always used as a kind of a metaphor, isn't it? So we speak of light as being something to do with spirit or the divine, the universe, right? The idea of light, right? The slowest that we know of at the moment is minus 273 degrees centigrade, which is also called 0 degrees Kelvin. And it's at the point in which it's so cold that atoms stop. You know that scientists say that the universe is expanding.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever wondered, how do they know that? Because to know the universe is expanding, that means you have to go outside the universe, look back and watch it move.
I've never really thought of it like that. I've thought of it as being just consistently moving.
Yeah, but how do they know it's moving? Because you can only know something's moving when you have a comparative evaluation.
Mm.
Yeah, you never wondered. Oh, right. Well, like if, of course, you've never heard a police car coming towards you. That would be laughable. Because you're all very wonderful people. You've never done any speeding or anything, right?
Never.
But
What?
but if a police car was coming down the road chasing someone else, right? What you find is that the sound coming towards you has a different sound than when it goes away. It's high pitched when it comes towards you, and it's low pitched goes away. So you get meow, rather than something towards you going what? Right? And the reason that it's high pitched coming towards you is as the sound comes towards you, the sound waves are compressed. So it sounds more high pitched. As it goes away, the sound waves get stretched out, so it sounds lower pitch.
Wow.
Now that's called the Doppler shift. And the same thing happens with light. So when light comes towards you, it's compressed And so you get ultraviolet, the blue spectrum. And when something's going away, it stretches out. So you get infrared. So using modern telescopes, they can look at galaxies and star constellations, and they can see if it's red or blue, and that lets them know that things are moving further away.
Wow, how fantastic. Has that got anything to do with frequency?
That's right. Yeah, the frequency, which means the speed, doesn't it? Yeah, it's the oscillation speed. Okay, so if we have 0 degrees Kelvin down the bottom and we have light at the top, there are graduations in between. And these graduations have been given names by different people. And you can kind of, sometimes people follow these names, other times people use different names. In esoteric training, in Western magical tradition, anyway, these kind of names are often called the astral plane. So here's a human being. We're not as cold as 0 degrees Kelvin, but there's the astral planes there, and there are different. It's said there are different layers. So there's the thought plane, the emotional plane, the mythic plane, and so on. And the difference between sleeping and wakefulness, the jump between sleeping, and that's a very powerful shift in consciousness to go from sleeping to waking. The difference between sleeping and waking is equal to the difference between each one of these ascending layers until you get to the divine, the source, or the light itself. So it's said that a mature soul, an aware soul, when they sleep, they leave their consciousness, leaves their body, and they can go home, and they can actually access going to the light itself. For example, when if a student is studying meticulously, when they go to sleep, they hover around on the earth plane, still studying in their sleep, and when they wake up, they're very tired. Because if your consciousness astral projects and goes far away from the earth while you're asleep, then you wake up with a fortified sleep. If your sense of awareness stays close to the earth plane when you're sleeping, you wake up feeling pretty tired. Now, around our physical body, it's said that there is a kind of like a realm that's not physical and it's not spiritual either. It's sort of halfway house between the two, and this is called the aura or the etheric plane. Have you heard of that? So you know that this aura, that it's said to kind of go around us like some kind of boundary in a way. And there are some things that are said about this. Like, for example, it changes its color and it changes its size according to our mood.
Yeah.
So when we are in love, for example, it expands so much it can let someone else in.
Yeah.
And if we're in bereavement or shock, it shrinks. So you get this kind of cold feeling around your heart, and you have those days where things happen around you because you're not really aware of anyone else's thing. It's said that when you go over a humpback bridge or go down in a lift very suddenly, that your aura is stretched out of your body momentarily and it elastic bands back in again, which is why you get that whoa kind of thing going on. Apparently, I wouldn't know this of course, but apparently if you drink a lot of alcohol, it makes your aura flop about. It loses its consistency.
That makes sense, doesn't
So
it?
while your aura is flopping about, your body then tries to follow it. Right? I'm told, apparently, that if you smoke things called marijuana, it may, instead of it poisoning your aura, it makes little perforated holes, and you kind of steam and go that kind of happens. It's not a good idea to poison your aura, I would have to say. Now, this might sound like a tangent, but it's worth exploring this little bit because it's pertinent to our exploration of this, which is pertinent to our understanding the anatomy of an astrological birth chart. One of my ex-students wrote once, this American lady watched the first class remotely, and she said, first of all, I just thought you were going off at tangents, but then I realized that everything comes back to the point you're making. And she said, this is a masterclass in storytelling, so I hope you form the same conclusion. Right, now, yes, this is the Egyptian version of what happens when we leave life.
Wow.
Right? It's called The Weighing of the Souls, and it's from the only surviving papyrus, which is the Book of the Dead. Now, in here, there's this chap who's behind me here, He's called Anubis. And in this context, Anubis is the gatekeeper of the dead. And his role in this context is that when you die, when you come out of your body, if you don't know where to go, he comes to meet you and he takes you to the great chamber where the others are waiting. This guy here is Matt, or Mart, depending on how you pronounce it, and he is all wisdom. This guy over here, who looks like he's making a record with something, he's called Thoth. Very interesting name. Thoth can be thought of as being spelled Thoth, as similar in structure, syntactic structure to the word thought, which is also similar to the word Torah. Anyone know what Torah is? No, it's the name. It's the name of the Judaic texts that go back to the Abrahamic writings. It's still being added to now, and it's also very similar to the word tarot as well. Now, yes, here's a tarot card. Just if we're looking at symbols and how we feel when we look at symbols. How do you feel when you see that? Yeah. Yes, indeed. Although when I run a 3-part tarot course, and I wouldn't use that imagery with that meaning at all. But it's a popular card. But there's something much better about it. This image, though, from the same deck, the Rider-Waite deck, is a little more puzzling. It's called the 8 of Cups. And cups in tarot represent the element of water, or in other words, emotion. And there are 8 cups, and they're all standing. So this lets us know that it's an emotional situation which hasn't fallen down. It's an emotional situation that's intact. But here a person is seen walking away from an intact situation. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine having something that's the height of its success and you abandon it while it's still successful? There's a sitcom called 40 Towers. They did that. They did just 2 series of 40 Towers, and when it was at its peak, they pulled the plug. And it stayed being something that revered all this time. It never waned. Very clever. Very courageous. This person is wearing a red cloak of courage. We know there's something odd going on because you can see the moon and the sun at the same time. This is an eclipse. And in ancient times, eclipses were thought of as portents of great change, sometimes harbingers of danger. This person is taking a very courageous path to walk away from an emotional situation that hasn't fallen down. It's like being in love and pulling the plug on the relationship when there's nothing wrong. Now, if this person, you can see that they've already crossed water. If this person continued walking without stopping, where would they end up?
In the same direction. They're going off the card.
Yeah, but if you continued walking,
On top of the hill. On
Because
top
I
of the
want to
mountain.
go to the mountain, to the rock, but it seems to be
but
he's going to the side of it.
Indeed, but if he continued walking and never ever stopped, where would he end up?
Oh, he'd come back to the same place, wouldn't he?
He'd come back to the same place, indeed. And when he comes back to the same place, what does he find? He finds an emotional situation which is still standing. So there's a wisdom in here which says that the spirit in which you leave something predetermines the spirit of the reunion.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. When I used to do pagan things, people used to end a circle with a twee little phrase. And I used to think, no, that's a twee little phrase, until I really thought about it. And they used to say, may we merry part and merry meet again. So if you can make every goodbye a wonderful goodbye, and remember to say I love you all the time, right? Then what you find is that that's what you meet. Whether that next meeting is at the end of the working day, whether that next meeting is next time round or on the bardo. You know, it takes a great deal of emotional maturity, but if you're able to end a relationship by saying, you know, go well on your journey, see you again, then it enables the two souls when they meet next time to meet without the friction.
Oh, that's
But that
cool.
stuff just drops away. Yeah, I had a relationship that was ending in 1994, and this woman said something to me I just thought was wonderful. In fact, I turned it into the basis of a song. And she said, the only thing I'm kind of a bit sad about, she said, is that all the things we needed to learn together, we learned so quickly. So it wasn't the parting that was a problem for her, it was just the speed.
Mm.
I thought that was a great thing to kind of hear. What a nice
Good.
person.
So did I, Katie.
Yeah. So now back here to our weighing of the souls. Now, what's happening here, you see, is that the soul is the embodiment of this bottle, right? And on one side of the scales, and on the other side of the scale is a feather, and this is to see how light you are. How light you are. Now, I mentioned that Anubis takes you into the chamber where the others are waiting.
Mm.
The others are 42 gods and goddesses. And these 42 gods and goddesses have been watching the video of your life, including your private thoughts and feelings. And what you have to do is, you see, this, you're not judged in this. No. This is like self-assessment taxation, right? You're not judged at all. You do your own evaluation. Now, we can do a little mini bit here. In my pro courses, we look at this in great depth, right? But just to give you a snippet, a hint, I'm going to say 3 sentences. And I want you to imagine, if you can, that in the room with you, there are angels, gods, goddesses, deities that know absolutely everything about you. And when I say sentence, imagine that you're going to repeat that in your own words, in your own voice, and imagine you're declaring it to the universe. And then the thing is to notice how you feel after you've said it, okay? It's the feeling in your body we're looking for, not your opinion, just the feeling that you have. Okay, you ready for the first one?
Yeah.
Okay, try this. I have never slain or murdered a human being in this life. So if you said that to a god and a goddess, how would you feel?
Truth.
Yeah, but how do you feel? What's the emotion in your body? Or the sensation in your body?
Calm.
Yeah, you feel all right with that, don't you? Okay. Yeah, try the next one then. I have never allowed my heart to burn with anger.
Can't do that.
Try the next one. I have never set my mouth in motion against another person. Boris, Farage, Trump. Oh dear, whoopsie. That means you're heavier than the feather. And that means you come in for another incarnation. And you keep coming round and round and round until
No lessons learned.
you're as light as a feather. Right? So literally the purpose of incarnation is to learn to be of light heart, that no matter what your circumstances, whether extraneous or benign, that you have within your heart a sense of being light and at peace, and you can respond with wisdom and kindness no matter what's taking place.
Wow.
And that takes a great deal of soul maturity to be able to do that. And I would say, of course, that it's impossible for us to do the evaluation now while we're alive, because you see yourself, you see the world, the universe, through your the lens of your psyche, right? And I can let you know, no matter how intelligent you might think you are, you don't know everything. And you can't know everything, because a fox can hear a beetle walk on the floor, but you can't. A dog can smell you coming around the corner, but you can't smell your friend the same way. A shark can perceive electricity. There's no way that you have access to the entire spectrum of the lights. We only visually see a small portion of the light spectrum, right? So there are dynamics at play outside of our range of perception. So any human being that declares they know everything, no. What they really should know is the fact that they didn't know everything. Yes, indeed. So since we can't see ourselves fully and completely, and it's not your whole soul that's here in this incarnation anyway, it's only a part of it. that just facilitates the lessons you're learning this time round, But when you leave life, you see everything for what it is. Then when you look at yourself, you might find that there are some things you feel guilty about in this life that you needn't need to, and there might be some things that you don't feel guilty about that maybe you should. But you can't do that evaluation while you're alive, right? So any attempt you make to evaluate yourself as being good or bad or right or wrong or enough or missing or lacking, whatever, is premature. So instead of doing that, just enjoy yourself instead, right? You get to find out soon enough, And when you're in the great chamber, if you find out you're a bit heavy, well, that's all right, All you got to do is make sure that your virtues stand taller than your faults, And I kind of figured, well, when I was really young, I kind of thought if every person helped one person, the whole world would be fine. And then I thought, nah, but some people might be lazy, or they might lack capability. So if I help 100 people, then I'll be doing the other 99's job for them, So I spend my whole life doing my best to help as many people as possible to kind of help rebalance things up, So long as you've got the intent of kindness in your heart, you'll be fine. You can't breathe without killing something, so don't worry about that. Just do damage limitation as best you can. Because on the other side of everything, when you look at the equipment you were born with and the context you were in, or another way of looking about it, when you look at your chart, since those are the confines or structures in which the architecture of your inner landscape functions, that's all you can do with the best of what you have. And that's fine. Now, some people, like I said, kind of display these astral planes in a kind of a more literal way. This is an example from a book called The Healing Craft. You're going to get this as a handout, just so you can kind of think about this in a bit more of a mechanical sense, although I wouldn't necessarily be that mechanical with things. So that's our vertical, right? We have our vertical, which is spirit incarnated into temporal physical realm, this place of height, breadth, width, and time. I would say the spiritual people that talk about 5D, they go from 3D to 5D. What happened to number 4? What's wrong with the number 4? Where is it? Right? So, now Einstein showed us that time is relative to space. Right? When you're out of this world, when you're astral projecting or when you're between lives, right, you're not in physicality anymore. So therefore, time doesn't exist. Everything is compact into an infinite now. Right? But as soon as you enter the physical realm of height, breadth, and width, you enter the realm of chronology. They're wedded together. So when we incarnate into physical matter, we also encounter time. So we now need to have just a quick chat about this horizontal. And the easiest way to do that, I'm just going to extend it out a little bit. And I mentioned Gustav Jung, or Carl Gustav Jung, a little while ago. So Jung had this really kind of nice way of talking about this. And he likened the day to like being analogous to a lifetime. So at the beginning of the day, the sun is weak and pale, and it can barely cast a shadow. Likewise, we're born into the world vulnerable, small and weak, and we can barely cast a shadow into the world. It's not until you get to about 10 o'clock in the morning that you can start to really feel the strength of the sun's rays on your arms. Likewise, it's not until we get into our 30s that it starts to become obvious that we have arrived and we're beginning to have some kind of dynamical power relationship with the world around us. And then the sun reaches its peak. And when the sun reaches its peak at midday, it can shine its light on everything, everywhere. And likewise, we're the same. When we reach the middle of our life, we can see all the things we've done and all the people we've met and all the people we've known. But we can also see all the things that we're going to do and then prepare for the setting of our own sun. So this horizontal line represents time. And when you put them together, we're a vertical, a spirit incarnated into physical matter, making a journey through time. And that is what I think this symbol meant to people before Christ.
Wow.
And crucifixion wasn't just something that Jesus experienced. It was a common, popular Roman torture device, right? And they used to do it because it was a joke. You see, they kill you by putting you onto the cross of life.
Definitely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now this is embedded inside the architecture of an astrological chart. So let's just have that here. So here's a circle to represent our wheel. There's our horizontal line. And it's the other way around because we are in it looking out rather than out of it looking in. Right? And we have our vertical line in an astrological birth chart as well. So we'll focus on each one of these in turn. Now, this sign over here is the ascendant, or what's called the rising point of a birth chart. Now, when you look at this, has anybody here ever seen the moon rise? No? Never seen a moon rise? Okay. How about, have you ever seen the moon in the early part of an evening?
Hmm.
Yeah, I see what you mean now. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
have you noticed that when you see the moon in the early part of the evening, it's huge.
Mm.
And then by the time you get to the middle of the night, it's a tiny thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever wondered why the moon changes size? No?
I just thought it's because when I'm driving or seeing it from a different angle.
Well, you're not far wrong in a way. Some people have said to me, oh, it's because it's moving further away. And it's like one of those kiddies' toys where you get like a bat with an elastic thing and a
Oh,
ball,
yeah.
and they're going bedoing, bedoing, bedoing. The moon is not going bedoing, bedoing, right? What happens is that there's atmosphere, gases in the Earth's atmosphere, and they refract the light in a certain way. So anything that you see on the horizon looks bigger. So I take a lot of pictures of sunrises and sunsets and things and put them up on Facebook. And if you wait until the sun's disk is as close to the ground as possible, it looks bigger in your photographs. If you take a picture of the sun, when it's early or, up in the sky, the sun will look smaller in your pictures. So it's an optical illusion that whenever we see anything on the horizon, it looks bigger. So in other words, then, this part seems to catch our attention. The opposite side of the wheel, this is an example of the ascendant and the ecliptic, right? So if I just go back there again, right? So here's the eastern horizon, and there's the ecliptic arc going over our head, right? And where I live in what could be best described as a sacred landscape. It's an area between Avebury and Stonehenge, and I live on a plateau of sarsen stone in the ground, which is sandstone that's imbued with quartz. So I live on a bed of quartz, right? And I can see 7 ancient monuments from my garden. And here, because I'm on a very high hill, the third highest point between Bristol and London, there's hardly any light pollution, and I've got almost a 180-degree view of the sky. So one night I went outside and I noticed that this is the line of the ecliptic as you look at it in the sky itself. So I've put circles around these objects. These are planets. So this is Jupiter over here. I think it's Mars and then Saturn. So this is what that looks like in the sky. So there's the ecliptic, and here you can see the planets just as tiny little white dots. But to make it a bit clearer, there are the circles around the dots again.
Yep.
All right. And this is where they are in the birth chart.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this is,
Wow.
astrology and astronomy in real time, as it were. And that's what it would look like in an astrological chart. Cool, huh?
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Now, where are we? Oh, yes, we're looking at these rising signs. And so, by the way, here's an ascendant. To give you an idea, do you remember I mentioned about as things rise, you get this ascendant point? So this is a birth chart. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to step it in 1 hour increments. Right? So you notice that there are some planets here, they're kind of three together, and there's this kind of splay of planets here in an arc shape. Right? So 1 hour later, it looks like that. So the top has now moved over to here, and the arc shape has moved around a bit. And whereas at the beginning, the rising sign was at the beginning of Sagittarius, over here on the left, now it's at the beginning of Capricorn.
Mm.
And this is the Earth spinning in relationship to the celestial sphere. So it looks like it's moving around us, but in actual fact, it's us turning into it. And this is an hour later again with Aquarius rising, and an hour later again with Pisces rising. So if I did that quickly, you get a little animation. Oops.
Excuse me.
Right. So there's our eastern horizon, and opposite, there's a descendant, the western horizon. And at the top, there's a thing called the midhaven. That's the MC, it's called. It's Latin, medium coli, which means middle heaven. And below, there's the IC, which is immedium coli, or the nadir, the bottom of the chart. Now, if this is a person standing on the horizon, they're looking towards the east. They're looking to where things rise. So we'll give this area a little bit of a kind of a thing. This is the first house and the seventh house opposite. So I mentioned that if you're looking in that direction, you tend to notice it catches your attention because something's coming up. Therefore, this means that you're not looking over here. So this part of a chart represents that which catches our attention. This part of the chart is behind our head, because if you're looking this way, you can't see what's over here.
Mm.
So in other words, this represents parts of ourselves that we disown because we think they're not there. It's an interesting idea. So this sense of parts of ourselves that we disown. To use an example, if there was a lady that had Mars in the seventh house, when she's young, she would disown her Mars. She thinks she hasn't got one. Or in other words, she hasn't got any assertive quality. She'd be the kind of person that says, should I wear this dress? Do I like this wine? Which food do I want? Completely unassertive. And after years of not being able to navigate life well because she's very unassertive, suddenly she'd meet an assertive person. And this assertive person would act as a role model for what assertion is. And he would say something like, wear this dress, eat this food, we're going out here. She'd think, oh, thank God, someone's taken the trauma of having to make decisions away from me. And she'd happily go along with this person who's making decisions for her. The only thing is, there's a very fine line between assertion and bullying. Right? A lot of people like to be led, but not many people like to be told what to do. And somehow you're supposed to gauge where the line is, right? But still, yes. Now, after a while, if this person starts to say things like, you do the washing up, I'm going out down the pub. After a while, she would become frustrated at this imbalance of power and eventually be forced to find a voice and slam things down and say, no, you do the washing up, I'm going down the pub. And then in that moment, she reclaims her own Mars. So what often happens is, by looking at this part of the chart, you can tell the qualities that you disown psychologically, that you then import into your life via another person. And then they act as models of how to do that behavior. And then when you adopt that behavior, you've learnt the lesson, which does mean that they're not necessary anymore because you've done the learning thanks by Torah. Right? So in other words, this part of the chart on the left, where the ascendant is, represents our sense of self, whereas this part of the chart on the right represents the kind of people that we align ourselves with so that we can master and learn more things. In other words, relationships. So the areas of life in these birth charts that are attributed with meaning aren't a joke, aren't an accident, right? There is actually a specific logic to the reason that they're placed in the where they are. Now this line at the top here, this midhaven, let's just give that an area. This represents what's above your head at the time you take your very first breath, right? Wow. And if you look up to these qualities, well, you know, if we look up to something, we admire it. And if we admire it, we want other people to admire us for having it, right? So this represents a pressure that you have, whether, you know, logical or not, that means that you feel that you should display these qualities to the world. And if you don't display these qualities to the world, you'll beat yourself up and feel guilty about it. Whether the world expects them really or not. But the easiest way to display qualities to the world, if you feel that you should show everyone that you got it, that is to literally make a career out of it. So if this line here is the horizon, then down here at the bottom, this is on the other side of the world when you're born. And you'd literally have to get a shovel and dig deep down into yourself. You'd have to go down to Australia to find what's there. So in other words, this represents qualities about ourselves that we can only find if we dig deep into ourselves. And one way of digging deep into yourself is through psychotherapy, self-reflection, years of meditation, contemplation. And it's quite often in the second half of life that we find the very qualities down there that we thought we didn't have when we were younger. And so when you look at an astrological birth chart, the very structure of it in its primary form has a cross built into it. There's the vertical, the horizontal, and there's the vertical there running through mine. Okay? Yeah. What do you think of that?
Fascinating.
Yeah?
Totally like, wow.
Yeah.
Just to understand the psyche of people, ourselves, and how to work around it. And you just don't realize that's all there, set from birth. Wow.
Yeah, now, it is a bit of an ask, I know, because the audacious claim of astrology is that someone can give you the time, date, and place that something begins in the terrestrial sphere, i.e. on Earth, and but by looking at the solar system at the time, date, and place from where it looked from that perspective, you can actually tell the unfolding trajectory of a person's life path and everything that they will experience before they leave this realm. That is some claim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, next week, we're going to look at that claim a little bit more, and we're also going to look at why that claim hasn't been endorsed or picked up by society as a wider whole. How come people really only know about the X factor end of astrology, and this Beethoven end is almost largely unknown by the general public? One little thing you're going to find out is that it's actually illegal for the BBC to have a documentary about astrology. It's against the law. And we're going to look at the reason that it's against the law. And it's not some kind of nefarious sort of kind of conspiracy thing, although there actually is a conspiracy to tell you about that is a factual thing. But in amongst all that, there's Napoleon. And that mystery will be revealed next time. We are done for today, my friends.
Fantastic. Wow. Amazing.
Have you enjoyed this?
Yeah, that was
Thank you.
Yeah? Cool. Excellent. So next time, I'll see you at 6:20.
Thank
on
you.
Tuesday. Oh, it's a pleasure. And
Thank you.
yes, and we'll go further into things. I think some of the other things we're going to look at next time is the astronomy of the Star of Bethlehem. We'll talk about the authors of books as well. And we're going to have a chat about memory as well. And you'll find out that I'm actually not interested in what you can remember about any of this at all. And there's a very sound reason for saying that too. Okay, take very good care. I shall see you next week.
Thanks, David.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you. See you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching this fascinating window onto life through this fine and ancient art of astrology. And there's more content on here to explore. And while you like and subscribe to the channel, if you find yourself wondering who is this guy or who is the person presenting this, please check out the primary welcome to the channel. It talks about my background and master's degrees and more than 35 years experience as a practitioner and teacher of astrology. Until next time, I wish you peace and good health and take very good care of you. Bye bye.